man, we're really diving into how nerdy I am in this. Kind of like hippie vibes I'm kind of getting, maybe like feminist Burning Man, kind of a villain that you're like, oh, I'm coming for you. Hey friends, it's Sarah, and today I have a big book haul for you. So we recently had staff appreciation at my work, which means we get an extra discount off of everything. So of course I bought some books, and I've also had a few ARCs sent to me by publishers. So I just kind of wanted to do a book haul of all the books that I have acquired recently. Some of them I've read already, most of them I haven't, but let's just get into it. So we're going to start off with the books that I bought for staff appreciation. So first up I have Witch of Wild Things by Racquel Vasquez Gilliland. I still don't know how to say her name. This is the author of How Moon Fuentes Fell in Love with the Universe. I did a whole video about that book 2 years ago. Has it been that long? I'll link it up top and down below. But this is her most recent book. It's her adult romance debut, and I'm very excited to read it because I love Moon Fuentes. So this follows Sage Flores, who is from a family of witches, it looks like. And it's a, like, coming back to a hometown. It's a, sound like a second chance romance, lots of magic, witchy vibes. I haven't looked into it too much, but I'm super excited. I love Racquel's writing, and it's just the perfect time of year for this book. I also bought Carmilla by Sheridan Fanu. This is before Dracula. This is a female vampire, and I believe it's a sapphic story as well. A sensationalist romance horror, it says on the back. But this was adapted into a modern web series. I can put a link to that in the description as well, which I absolutely loved. It was so good. It was so fun. I was really into the web series at the time. Anyways, but I really wanted to read this also in time for Halloween and spooky season. The original vampire. Not sure if it's original, but a pre-Dracula vampire. So I'm excited to see how this one is. It's also very tiny. Then I bought Factfulness by Hans Rosling, the fun illustrated fancy edition. I don't know how to explain why I bought this one. Basically, in junior high school, we were shown a video, I think it was a TED Talk, presented by Hans Rosling. And he was so excited about his graphs. I think it was this graph here that he was really pumped about, but this man was so passionate, and my friends and I just kind of turned him into like a meme. Not even a meme. We were very amused by his passion, and so there for like a couple years in junior high, Hans Rosling was like a whole thing in our friend group. So I had to buy the book because I had to know. I am really in my like reliving my childhood days. This is for my inner tween. But what it's actually about, let's find out. Alright, so it's him and his wife and his daughter, who are apparently legendary statisticians. It's about statistics, and about why things are happening and like the myths that we fall for. The tagline is like 10 reasons we're wrong about the world and why things are better than you think. But it was $12 plus my 40% off. So I had to get it for the good old days. It's also blurbed by Melinda Gates and Barack Obama on the back, so it's gotta be good, right? And finally, I bought Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, because this has been my favorite book of the year so far. It was the first book I read this year, and it's been the best, I'm pretty sure. I think there's like a couple that are vying for the top, but this one is way up there. And I didn't own a copy, so I decided to actually buy myself a copy, because it was actually 50% off because it was the staff pick of the month for September at Indigo. And I also, man, we're really diving into how nerdy I am in this, but I bought the digital download perk for Project for Awesome last year. It's a Vlogbrothers thing. Any nerd fighters out there, what up? And John Green, who blurbed this book and was the reason that I read this, did a podcast, kind of like a book club podcast with his longtime business partner, Rosianna Halse-Rojas, talking about that. And so I was like, I need to reread it so that I can like listen to the podcast because I just enjoyed this so much. So yeah, so now I have my own copy, and she's beautiful and I love her. And I'm really excited to reread this one at some point. I would say soon, but we all know how reading plans go, just out the window. Up next, I recently was in Ontario and I visited Toronto and went to a bunch of bookshops, of course, duh. But I went to a couple with my friend Emma, who took me to BMV Books, which was this like massive used bookstore. I think there's like a few of them in Toronto, maybe elsewhere in Ontario as well. So many books, so many like newer books too. It seemed like maybe publishers sent kind of like overstock there because there was like big quantities of like newer books. But I bought a couple of books while we were there. So I bought Hana Carries On by Uzma Jalaluddin. This one I've talked about before. I'll link a video where I give like a full review of it. But I just really love this one. It gave me real like Ben and Davy vibes from Never Have I Ever, and I wanted to own a copy of it. And it was cheap. And so now I have it and I'm very excited. So I'm super excited to own this, and it's just beautiful. And this book haunted me for so long. I would see it on the shelves at work all the time for like, I don't know how long it's been out, a year, 2 years? It's been out for 2 years. I saw it on the shelf for 2 years and I was like, I should read that, and I didn't. Then I got an ARC for her third book, which is called Much Ado About Nada, and I read that one and I read this one and I was like, past me was so right. I should have been reading this 2 years ago when it came out. So now I have her first book on hold, and we'll read whatever else she publishes because they're very good. Then my friend recommended First Comes Like by Alisha Ray, and I bought it because it was there and recommended by Emma, and we love to send each other books, so very excited about this one as well. I don't really know what it's about, to be honest. She just said she liked it, so I was like, good enough for me, and bought it. Let's see. Beauty expert and influencer has a Bollywood superstar slide into her DMs. It turns out it's a catfish, so the real Bollywood dude is like, what the heck, I don't know you, and she's like, you were like sliding into my DMs. Ooh. And then there's fake dating. Oh my goodness, this sounds like a wild ride and like a lot of drama, so I am excited to see how this like catfish turned fake dating turned real relationship goes. Should be a good time. So now I have a handful of ARCs that have been sent to me or that I picked up from work, and we'll talk about the two that I've read so far. So first up, I read The Wake Up Call by Beth. I did a whole video on this book because I just loved it so much. It is a great kind of like transitioning into like Christmassy read, even though it does take place like around Christmas. It wasn't like super duper Christmassy, so I feel like it's a great kind of like end of November getting into the season read. It's also just a great romance. It's got some miscommunication but done in a way that isn't super cringy. I really actually enjoyed the miscommunication in this, and it just, it's kind of like an enemies to lovers sort of thing. I loved it. It's so good. Go read it. It's amazing. Go watch my video where I talk more in depth about it. I loved it. Thank you so much to Berkeley for sending this to me. It just, it blew my mind and blew all of my expectations out of the water. Then I read Iris Kelly Doesn't Date by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the third book in the Bright Falls series that started with Delilah Green Doesn't Care. And I'm going to say this one still doesn't top Delilah Green, but is better than the middle book, which is Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. That one was kind of mid for me, but this one is really good again. We've got like some fake dating. We've got the like character who's like, I'm just good for like a fling, but like no one wants to date me. I'm not relationship material. And her like being healed through friends and therapy and a relationship. And it's got a really cool play where they like queer Much Ado About Nothing by Shakespeare. They do like it's all queer cast and like gender bent, and it's super fun. And Iris is also a romance author. There's a lot happening in this book. It's fairly chunky for a romance, 380 pages. So it's a little beefy for a romance, but I think it's well spread out, like it doesn't feel long. There's lots of delicious tension in this. There's also some like, teach me how to like not have feelings and be able to like hook up things going on, and like teach me how to have like romantic moments. It's great. There's so many fun tropes in this. I really love the characters. The love interest Stevie is so relatable. She's got generalized anxiety disorder, and I just want to hold her in my arms and be like, it's okay, my sweet child, you will be all right, because she's just a little nervous wreck half the time, and I just want the best for her. It's also got a great ex who is just like kind of a villain that you're like, oh, I'm coming for you. Anyways, on to the next batch of arcs. I have 3 Christmas arcs that were sent to me. I have to get to these. I haven't yet because it's just October now, and I'm trying to save my like Christmas reads for closer to Christmas time, because at work we're already setting up Christmas stuff and have been for about a month, and so I feel like Halloween is already done even though it's the beginning of October. So I'm trying to hold on to my spooky reads right now and then like move into Christmas later. But man, retail's making that really hard. So first up, I have The Christmas Orphans Club by Becca Freeman. This came out September 26th. I have not read it yet. I will read it before Christmas. So this is like found family, friends who like celebrate Christmas together every year, and then this is kind of like their last Christmas together as some of them are moving. So I think this is going to be not so much a romance, but more like a found family and like friendship in New York at Christmas time, which sounds awesome. That really kind of reminds me a little bit of like One Last Stop and like that found family in New York. So I'm hoping for those kind of vibes at Christmas time. And maybe also kind of like Lily and Dare vibes of like Christmas in New York, because that was also excellent, especially the TV show. They did a great job with that TV show. Anyways, I'm hopeful for some really good friendships in this. Then we have The Xmas Holidays by Zoe Allison. This one says, it's hard to escape your ex when you're working together over Christmas in the Scottish Highlands, but being stuck together might be the best possible present in this sparkling new contemporary romance. So second chance romance in Scotland. Apparently all my Christmas reads are just gonna be like traveling around the world while I sit in cold Calgary. Wait, what? Okay, so this is, Maya has just like broken up with someone. She's ended her long-term relationship. She's left her job. She's going to a friend's party to like blow off steam and runs into the boy who broke her heart 8 years ago, serving drinks naked. Apparently he has a side hustle, maybe as a stripper waiter, I'm not sure. Well, he also works during the day as a ski instructor in the Scottish Highlands. This seems quite funny actually, and the guy on here looks like David Rose from Schitt's Creek. I don't know how well you can see this, but he's really giving me like Dan Levy vibes, which is hilarious. So yeah, I don't know, this also came out September 26th from Berkeley, and it really sounds like a riot, so I'm kind of excited for that one now too. And then finally, I have Time to Shine by Rachel Reid from, which publisher is this? From HarperCollins, so thank you HarperCollins for sending me this. And I'm really excited about this one because it's a Canadian author and it takes place in my hometown of Calgary, which is insane. Nothing ever takes place in Calgary, even though it's like Canada's 3rd biggest city, 4th biggest city, somewhere in there. But this is a hockey player who is called up to play in the NHL, and for Calgary, go Flames go, even though I'm sure it's not the Flames in this book. And they becomes roommates with like one of the other players who's kind of like the young superstar. I'm feeling like maybe Connor McDavid vibes, if you know hockey at all. And so they kind of become friends and then start to fall in love. Ah, it sounds so good. Okay, and I think this one maybe takes place more in like New Year's time. Oh, is that supposed to be like Lake Louise, do you think? Do you think that's the Fairmont at Lake Louise? Because it could be. All right, I'm actually super excited for this one. Maybe I will read this one before Christmas because I love a book that takes place in Calgary and a hockey romance. Check Please did hockey romance so well that I'm really scared to ever read another hockey romance, but this one sounds really fun. And like kind of a little bit of Grumpy Sunshine trope and like, oh my god, they were roommates. Incredible. Okay, maybe that's gonna be my next one I read. So many books to read, so little time. Okay, the final arc that I have is one I picked up from work, and it is What Wild Women Do by Karma Brown, who is the author of Recipe for a Perfect Wife, which I absolutely loved. That one's like a 1950s historical, not romance, fiction, a historical fiction. And this one's a 1970s historical fiction. Karma Brown is also a Canadian author, so we love that. And thank you also Penguin Random House / Viking Canada for the arc. here, but this is a 1970s feminist facing the costs of loss and autonomy strives to create a better future for women at her Adirondacks camp. Meanwhile, an aspiring screenwriter makes a shocking discovery in the present that sets her on a course of rewriting her own story. Alright, so this sounds like, I mean, like all historical fiction, it's a split timeline. In the 70s, there was a woman who kind of ran a camp for like women to be more free and be themselves. Kind of like hippie vibes I'm kind of getting, maybe like feminist Burning Man, but like a summer camp, I'm not sure. And then a modern day screenwriter who is stalled in her career and trying to like figure out her next life steps as she discovers this feminist in the past and like who had like vanished to try and figure out what happened to her. Sounds like a really interesting kind of like historical mystery a little bit, and I'm excited to read it because I did really enjoy Recipe for a Perfect Wife, so I'm hoping this one is just as good. Also, I'm looking at this. It's got two covers. So there used to be, I can see through the light, I don't know, you probably won't be able to see that because there's no light behind it, but there's like a placeholder behind this cover. Yeah, okay. Oh, this is cool. I feel like I've discovered a mystery. So it used to be all this like green, and then they've pasted the cover over top. There's like a little edge here. I'm not gonna pull it off because I think that would ruin it, but it just said like Karma Brown, What Women Do. So it must have been kind of just like a placeholder until they got the final cover approved, and then they like glued that on there. How fun! What an exciting little mystery. Those are all the books I recently acquired. I did also pre-order Emily Henry's next book, Funny Story, of course, because Emily Henry, she's an auto-buy author for me. I should do an auto-buy author video. Would you like an auto-buy author video? I don't know, let me know. I also ordered the second Emily Wilde book by Heather Fawcett because I just love the first one so much, and I can't wait for the second one. Guys, there's so many good books coming out in 2024. Rachel and Solomon just announced a sequel to Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. I am losing my mind over how good a year 2024 is going to be for books, which means I need to get reading really fast on the books I currently have so I can read the ones that come out in 2024. I am also going to have to do a giant pre-order, I think. Here's hoping for Christmas money so that I can order a whole bunch of books. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Now go read a book. Alright, we're gonna try for a thumbnail. So first up, I have the Christmas Orphan Club. Hello, love. Oh, she sings a sad song. Yeah, okay, great. Oh man, I feel like I've got the zoomies, but like I'm actually hungry, so I don't know